Hi, Leo Dreger here. I want to talk about Hex Workshop. It's a relatively easy program to use to edit files and look at all the hexadecimal information inside of a file. So I'm going to run you through the install real quick. You can choose to remove older versions if you like, or install it side by side with other versions. I prefer that you remove the older versions, accept the terms of conditions, do a complete install, and then go ahead and let it run. It generally only takes about a minute or so to run through the install. Most of it's going to be just copying files. So as you can see, it's going to fly by through the install, add an icon to the desktop, and it will prompt you for a reboot once you are finished installing this program. You can either reboot or not reboot. I've had it work successfully both ways. We don't need to review the README file here. If you want to restart, you can select no, and at this point we should have a Hex Workshop icon right on our desktop. So we'll go ahead and open that up, and here we go. So in this program, I'll give you a little overview of it, and then we'll go grab a file in which we can use, right? So this is basically our data visualization window here. We have the different structures that will come down in here, and then we can compare results to the right here. Through the file menu, you can import information if you already have it. You can set up a new page. You can open a particular drive if you like. You can do some basic customization in terms of options. For example, byte order versus offsets. It just really depends on the different types of files that you're using when you would change these or not. You've got the different windows which you can view. These all correlate to the different windows right down here. So for example, if you go to Data Inspector, you can see that adds the Data Inspector window over here. You can go to the expression calculator. You can see where that turns off. So this is just a good idea to kind of learn what's what within this program. Okay, and then of course you can resize windows accordingly and things like that. You can do the data visualization window to your left here. You can show the structure viewer, which is down on the bottom. You can see that turn on and off, right? So that's your structure window. You can go down to the results, and that would have been the window to the right. You can go down here to the status bar, which is at the very, very bottom. Okay, so it's right here, just says ready. I generally leave that on because, for things like, file size and things like that, that's helpful. You can also have a preference menu here, and I typically like programs that are laid out with the menus like this because you can go through and select everything from fonts and colors, different themes, which I never really mess with any of that. Different paths, different advanced options. So when you go through this the first time, you may want to just kind of go through this and get an idea of this stuff in itself. You can choose what you want to import, whether it be C source code or HTML or Java or rich text or text document, etc., etc., etc. Okay, and then different plugins, and we're not going to cover any of those here and now. But if you did have plugins, that's where you would put them. So we're going to go to open, okay, and there's a variety of things that you can analyze with this tool. Like, for example, if I just want to start with a DLL, I can open up that DLL and you will have the different fields here, the different columns, if you will. And if you notice, when I click on 5 and 6 here, notice that changes 5 and 6 here. Okay, so that will go along accordingly. So if you actually want to map it to exactly where it is and determining exactly what gets changed where, you absolutely can do that. Also notice as I'm clicking through here, notice the offsets change as well. Okay, so you can see that and see the different offsets and go down and look at everything from DOS dates to timestamps to what does the binary look like and things like that. Right. So that would be a basic DLL. And then the first thing I would say, just to get an idea of what a DLL does, is just kind of scroll through and look for some text in this section here. So you can see it pulled out, a little bit of code. For example, clear last error, get last error, get raw mode, right? So it does pull some regular text out. You may see things like, registry settings or reference to other DLLs and files and things like that. Okay, so that's there. You can see a little bit of code, assembly, XMLNS, URN, the Universal Resource Naming Scheme. Right, so we can pull XML information out. You can see some padding all the way through here. So something like that is pretty indicative. And this is something that would like repeat over and over and over again. So you can see 50, 41, 40, etc. And you can see those patterns. Another way to kind of make that easier to look at is if you just do padding XX and then padding XX, right? You can kind of see how it wraps around. Right. So that would be a DLL file. Now let's go open up, another type of file. Right. So let's go grab the calculator. Right. So this is more of an executable. This program cannot be run in DOS mode, right, because it's one GUI oriented. And you can see that it'll pull out the different text and some different code here. In later labs, we're going to get a little creative with this tool. Right now, I just want to give you an overview of how this tool works because it's a little it's definitely a newer way of looking at a file in terms of like the grand scheme of things. So the first time I show this tool to people, people are like, wow, that's cool. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with this. So we're going to cover what you can do with it in other labs. Right now, I just want to kind of give you the brief overview of how the tool's laid out and works, and analyze a few different files. Okay, so you can see the calculator references an OCX file for processor information. You can pull some text out of this. Here's a whole bunch of text down here. All right. But any sort of pattern or anything that's referenceable, that's what I would certainly note at this point. Here you can see basically a repeating pattern, 32, 32, 32, 32, 32, over and over and over again. Right. So that's more of what an executable would look like in this file. Also note, like the data viewer, this is kind of convenient to pop out here. If you look at the data visualizer, the different types of information here, it kind of gives you an idea of what it would look like to show you the different trends and patterns. So you could kind of go down here and look at this blue and say, okay, well, you know what, that actually correlates to text. And interestingly enough, it pulls out a URL right here, which is Thought over at thought.com. Or if I maybe go down here to the other blue section, you can see OCSP, Online Certificate Status Protocol, VeriSign, right? So that's another certificate piece here. Or maybe come down to this blue section, or maybe look at a green section. Okay, so any blue or green is probably going to be some good places to look, as opposed to like other parts which are not as interesting to look at. So that's a program. Now let's go open up maybe a picture. All right, so we're going to come down here. I'm going to go into Windows. And let's see if we can't make this a little bigger here. You can sort by type here. That's helpful to do. So clearly we're not going to need any of the folders, but there's other applications. So well, let's start with the easy stuff. Here's Notepad, right? If you want to open up Notepad and see what that looks like, and look at your data viewer first, you can see, wow, that's a different pattern here. And you can poke around inside there to see, what this stuff looks like. So you can start seeing some text pop out and things like that, as opposed to if you go down here, you get some letters and numbers, but nothing really interesting. Okay, so something as simple as Notepad, and then we can go ahead and open up, let's go down here. regular text document as opposed to the Notepad program. Okay, so you can go to data viewer here and you can see a whole bunch of green here, which is, green is going to be the text. And you can zoom in. You can zoom into that if you like, or you can zoom out. That's definitely something helpful that I frequently do. All right, so or zoom 100% in, zoom 100% out. And also you can do it segmented in terms of a palette. You can do it grayscale if you like. I typically don't like grayscale realistically at all. I'd rather see the colors personally. Okay, so let's go get another file. And then you can see that, well, let's actually go get a picture, right? So if you wanted a picture, easiest way to go do that, I would say, is go down to your C drive and then just search for, star.png or something like that, or JPEG, PNG, let it search your hard drive. And then basically just find any one of these pictures here and then just find out what the location is. All right, so this one you could do, let's see, I want to see the option open file location here. Okay, so here you go. Here's some pictures, and then up here you can get the full path to where that is. So we're gonna kind of mirror these just for a second here, and then you can get the idea. So let me close out of that. Let me get this open here. And then see if I can get this displayable in a nicer way. So let's do an open. Okay. And so this is going to be, we're going to go to Windows, Win. All right. So let's just start here. Windows, Win, SSX. Right, so we're going down in here, and then we can grab, bear with me here because this is very much what you end up doing when you're looking for something. So we're going to grab x86 directory, and there's going to be several of them, so we actually have to find the right one here. I probably could have picked a picture with an easier. So this is going to be x86 underscore Microsoft Windows. Or, you know what, maybe we can cheat here. If I go back to this, copy that path location, and in here, go directly to it. Yay. So what I did, if you want to follow along there, I just went to Explorer, found the file that I want, and then went into the Open dialog box, pasted it right in here, and it goes and finds it right away. And so any one of these pictures is going to be fine to see what a picture looks like. So go ahead and click Open. Okay, and so it looks like I actually grabbed a BMP file, and I know, well, I have a PNG highlighted, but you'll notice right here in the beginning of the file, it should tell us the file type right above here. In the beginning, because every file has a beginning header portion of the file, and in some cases you can just simply duplicate that particular file. And so I recognized that it was a BMP because I saw BM8, but another way to kind of find that out is if you just highlight over the tab down here and then look at the full extension at the very, very end, you'll actually see that it's a WMPNSS underscore 32 .bmp. But again, like I said, I just happen to recognize that way. So this particular BMP file, if we had a problem with that, let's say it was corrupt or something like that, we could actually just replace the header of the BMP file just as easily, just like that. All right, and if you wanted to see what these different types of files do, I can just open them up and kind of play through them in any editor, and just kind of play through them. So they look like I just happen to be in a Windows icon directory of sorts. Okay, so I'm just scrolling through just to show you kind of that I am in a picture directory, right? But we can close out of that because we don't need to see the picture viewer per se. And so that's basically it. That's where you're going to spend a lot of your time, just getting familiar with the program. So all I did is go to File, and then open up DLLs, calculators, Notepad, a log file, set up act.log, a picture, and get the basic feel for what this looks like from a hexadecimal point of view. All right, and then later we'll start actually using this program to do, I don't know, some cooler stuff. I'll just leave it at some cooler stuff. But for right now, the objective would be, as I just want you guys to get useful to analyzing the program, because there's definitely some other features that you can do. Okay, so that's it for now. Get used to Hexadecimal Workshop. It's something that you'll probably use quite frequently once we get into some of the advanced labs with it. But for right now, I just want to get you guys set up, understand how to install it, how to look at it, and give you some basic navigation of how to actually use it. And then we can make some sense out of this as we go. So thanks for watching. My name is Leo Dreger, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, and don't forget to check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter.